my way here. So, okay. All right. So, Jason, I'm John Dillon. I know a lot of y'all. So I was LOS president for 3 years, that a couple years ago, during COVID. That was fun. I've been LBRC for I think 12 years now, and eBird reviewer and that kind of sort of thing. So, like birds. So I teach literature at Minden High School, Minden, Louisiana, in Webster Parish, which is almost in Arkansas. And started there in 2006. And let's see, it's a long time ago. So I've been teaching this year 20 for me total. And so the next year I started the Nature Club, which I'll talk about here in a second. But that's about it for me. So I'll try to really keep this under 2 hours. So really, I do have to kind of read my script, because as a teacher, and since I've got students here, they can tell you this, they don't ever listen to me. So when I have a captive audience, then people, I think they're actually listening. If I go off script, we'll be here like through Monday. So if you don't accuse me of like doing he's reading from a teleprompter. So I have to. It's for your own good. So anyway, so this is one of my favorite pictures. Can we hit the lights? Can you do that? Is that cool?
That's right here. Just know that they all go off, so everybody stay awake even if they turn off the light.
All right. See? All right. Nice. So this is Petty G State Park in Arkansas. We've been going there for a long time, which I'll talk about a lot in a little while. But so, all right. Seeds. I figure that's appropriate nature-related title. In 2006, I was driving by a relatively new rural school in Webster Parish that sat on several acres of land with, at the time, zero landscaping. Not a single tree, shrub, flower, nothing, just grass mown to about 2 inches at most in a concrete parking lot. And I thought somebody ought to take those kids in the woods, take them hiking, because it's going to be so boring sitting around at school. It wasn't my school where I was working, but my next thought is, well, I could do that, and I could do that at my school. So start the Nature Club next year. This is Sarah, and this is from 2017. We're out bird banding at Bodcaw, WMA. That's when they actually have grass there. If you went on my trip, Lawrence, remember that? That's the place where it was burned when we got there. Yeah. So this is what it looks like with grass and birds. So. And I like to do this when I do this presentation or different versions of it, to kind of let you know, like with graduates, kind of what they're doing now, because I like to keep up with them, and I'm proud of a lot of these kids. So she's a cybersecurity major. She'll be finishing up pretty soon. So since then, over 40 kids each year. We've got over 50 kids in the club this year. I think 51, 52 right now, I think. The school's got like between 700 and 750 kids in it, right? So they pay over $20 dues every year to be a Nature Club member. The scheme of the outdoor classroom attracts students every year, right? And we tend to use three main strategies. This is Aaron, whose brother is here tonight. Aaron couldn't make it. He's a senior this year. He wants to major in forestry and eventually get a PhD in dendrology. And he is self-taught with trees, and like better than I am at it. Anyway, so he's climbing the rocks at Petty Jean earlier this year. So uniqueness is one of the first things that we focus on. My current co-sponsor, Jennifer Hurd back here, and my last co-sponsor, Mr. Lester shares. Lester, who was a counselor at Minden High and retired 2 years ago, 2020. So good time to retire. We have no model to follow. We have no national chapter guidelines to which to adhere. What we do have is student members who want to have fun by learning about the outdoors, and a network of contacts that I've created to allow them, the kids, unique outdoor experiences. The kids' enthusiasm allows us the freedom to do things that other high school clubs just don't do. This is Shelby. She's now majoring in wildlife management, and she's getting trained as a penguin keeper at the Shreveport Aquarium. So she's latched onto a Sora there while we were up bird banding in 2018. Opportunities is another one. All right. Another essential attraction of the club is its ability to offer new opportunities to students from all backgrounds. So regardless of gender, race, class, or ability, any student who finds employment in the natural world finds opportunities in the club to help them grow. This year, we've got students who have severe learning disabilities. We've got our first ever Muslim student in the club. We've got girls, guys, every color under the sun. And I love that about the club. They're all attracted to it. Their friends get in and they want to get in. So it's kind of magnetic. A lot of these kids have never seen the ocean or camped or hiked, much less held a Harris's hawk or watched the sunrise from a mountaintop. This is Anna, who is now with a lawyer in a firm in Shreveport, and literally makes about 3 times more money than I'm making her first year. Anyway, so hey, so I'm hoping she'll donate. But anyway, gonna hit her up. Her mom was my old boss, my old principal. So fun is the last one. They're kids, and they're not going to be open to learning unless they like what they see. Fun doesn't trivialize the educational aspect of the club. It provides this most essential foundation. If they're having fun, they're interested and they keep coming back. So I want to take some time to show you each of these 3 aspects of the club, as well as a few other things. This is Melody, now a teacher herself in elementary school. And she's learning here that muscadine vines aren't always as strong as they look. This is Dartmouth State Park 2016. Kind of surprised herself with that one. So fun, we'll start with that one, right? So this is Morgan and Maggie. This is last month. They're showing off their work in annual pumpkin carving contest, Petty Jean we do every year. And above, which is kind of hard to see, but this is Sarah, who's getting her grad degree in speech path right now. Cannot deal with this giraffe at the zoo. It looks like it's about to eat her head off. Anyway, Abby, also with the Harris's hawk here, pretty happy with that. Caitlin, the picture with the alligator up there, she's getting ABA certified with autistic kids right now. And Darian, who's last I heard was working for LDWF, posted at the Rock House Cave at Petty Jean. So you can see how much fun these kids have, right? This is Darian and Caitlin. Caitlin's 4'11" on a good day. Darian's 6'5", and they're reenacting the Lion King at sunrise on a mountain. And Melody, who's like legit like opera singer, right? She's literally singing the Lion King song in like the whatever language that is, and she like at the time. So it was great. So they're really funny. These kids. So Shelby here again holding a day-old duckling at Panola Preserve, Paul Dixon's place in Shreveport. And Will is a journalist now, getting a hummingbird light on his finger at my house, actually. Opportunities. All right. Our school offers athletics, honors classes, dual enrollment classes, student council, 6 spirits groups now since I made this presentation, choir, band, National Honor Society, several other clubs and organizations. Jennifer's in charge of the art club, for example. And I'm also in charge of the co-sponsor of the first Team Mental Health First Aid Club in the state of Louisiana. And so, but the Nature Club is the only one that tries to expose new students to new experiences every single year. So what do we actually do? I want to go through all the stuff we do, right? This is Kaylin, non-occupational therapist, and Claudia in the back, who's a strategic coordinator for local school system. And they're going to go to Lake Fox Point State Park 2011, which is the last time we've been there. We're supposed to go there tomorrow and do this again. And hopefully I won't lose any kids to allocators this time. We'll see. So fingers crossed. All right. Story about that later. All right. So we start the year off with a back to school party, pizza party, and night hike. And this is at Caney Lakes in Minden, which is part of the Kisatchie National Forest, right? And I'm sorry, it's hard to get photos of the actual night hikes because it's dark. But I call in screech owls and barn, or at least try to. We had one good one this year that called back to us for a while. He got really excited. And so anyway, this is Lauren and Kirsten here. Kirsten's a nurse in Nashville. Moving back, by the way, Sherry, I heard that last night. And Lauren is a client research specialist for a New Orleans law firm, and who's completely ashamed for a friend who has the mosquito hat on for no good reason. Halen, who's over there, this is on here just to embarrass her. She's a sophomore, gossiping apparently about me or something. I don't know what's going on. Angel, who's a senior this year, is with my principal, right, Dr. Wilson, who chaperoned this trip this year. And all the kids here getting pizza parties. Layla, who's in the back right now, seeing the picture. So that's how we start the year off, right? And then after that, we typically do the Caldwell or Tyler, Texas Zoo. But this year we're going to do it in the spring. I'm changing things around, and I'll talk more about that in a second. But this is our newest annual trip. We get a private educational tour of the zoo, including the vet clinic and an animal commissary. The coolest part in the last couple of years has been this. So a couple of lucky students each year get to go inside the penguin enclosure with the penguin keepers. In case you've never been inside a penguin enclosure, they're cute. They waddle around. Doesn't smell great. But then, neither do the kids sometimes. So it's even, right? This is Wagari. He's one of the zoo's African penguins. They're waddly. They're curious. A lot like the kids. So later this spring, though, our couple of students are going to get to do the same thing, but with black bears. So I'm very excited about that. I know. Look for us on the news for that one, I'm sure. Anyway, this is Jana. She's a nursing major, a senior about to graduate, and also going to make more money than I do. So, with the penguin down at the bottom, you can't see him down there. So, this is a video, and I'm hoping this works because it's hysterical. This is my friend's daughter, Juliet, and I taught Juliet for 3 years. She's adorable, and hopefully this. There you go. If you can hear this. So she gets a little overzealous with the giraffe in a second. She's gonna. Here you go. Tries to pet. I'm sorry. So it's what I call free entertainment. When you take kids around, they do stupid stuff without getting hurt or killed, and then we're fine. So, Petit Jean State Park. We've been going to Petit Jean in Arkansas during our fall break in October since 2011. So it's been a while now. These days we stay 3 nights and 4 days at the Lutheran Church camp. Go figure. I'm not Lutheran, right? And so, but they're so nice, and they're great people, and they feed us, and we have to sing for our food. The kids like it. It's really funny. But it saves us a lot of money too, because we have to. I have to go on the cheap, right? So, but it's right adjacent to the Petit Jean Mountain and the park and everything. And so it goes for like a year we can't go, like COVID. I really miss those people. I can't. So they're great. So 2023, last month, was the first time we've been since COVID, and we took 15 members, had a great time. This is from this year, this picture here. So here's Dale, who's here tonight, and Aaron, both seniors. They're the club's first try at horseback riding. Nicole, who's hilarious, she's a junior. She's holding a very confused chicken. And Maggie, who's a freshman, braided my hair. And so she asked, then she braided another guy's hair, student's hair. Not a stranger or anything so weird. Mary Claire, getting her PhD right now, sociology at OSU, looking at the sunrise over the Arkansas River Valley. The first year we went, we had 8 tarantulas. That was the size of like a saucer, all right? And that was the biggest one we had. We've only had 1 year since when we had a couple, but we have a lot of granddaddy longlegs, but tarantulas are a little bit different. And a group pick from 2015 is Cedar Creek Canyon. So, this is I got the wrong caption on this. I changed the picture. I forgot to change the caption. Sorry about that. So this is at the what do you call this thing? The Natural Bridge. Yeah. And I found a snake up here when we're hiking up there one time. And this year at the bottom right is around the campfire. We do s'mores and all kind of stuff. Have a good time. Pop popcorn. So this place is so serene and so beautiful, especially in the morning. We do sunrise. I'm just going to spend a little time showing some photos from this trip, not like our trips to Petit Jean, and try to imagine being a teenager there for the first time. Taking all this in, especially sometimes where kids who don't get to travel, right? It happens a lot. So Melody, who I showed you earlier, we were up there one time, and she's sitting there. We watched the sunrise come up from dark, and she says, I feel like I've squandered every morning before this. And if you can get a 15, 16-year-old kid to say that, you feel like you've accomplished something. So anyway, this is from this year. Several years ago, some kids asked, Mr. Dillon, why don't we just do sunset? Why not sunrise? And I explained to them that I was doubtful I could wake them all up at like 6 a.m. and get them all into the vehicles and get down there at 6:30 and sit on some cold, windy mountainside and just be quiet. And as they so often do, they surprised me that year. So ever since, we've been watching the sunrise on the cold, windy mountainside of the Arkansas River. And this photo was from this year's trip. And it's just really nice. The kids have a great time doing this. It's a little chilly, also from this year. On the ride back home this year, the 4 juniors who were in my truck, and one of them is here tonight, Luke, they started talking about their favorite part of the trip. Nicole said her favorite part was the sunrise. And when I asked why that instead of sunset, she said, sunrise felt so different to me. It was like I could see myself there experiencing. I felt like I knew I existed. I don't know how to explain it. And I thought after 20 years of teaching, I'm pretty good at that. I won awards and stuff, lots of presentations, served on lots of important committees. But in less than the time of one class period, this view allows a 16-year-old enough clarity and peace to say that in that place and in that time, she felt like she knew she existed, right? Not even the best teacher can compete with a school field trip that results in existential enlightenment, all right? And this is why the club keeps going, like continues. It's a very successful year. I told the group of kids this is sunset this year. I can quantify each trip. I can tell you everything we're doing, how long it all lasts, what it costs, how many kids can go, but I can't qualify the trip before we go. You have to go and understand that experience. I can explain that to you. But I've always said that if we can get a kid to go on one, they'll sign up every single time that they can after that. Right. So my new co-sponsor, our teacher Jennifer Hurd, and when you get the new LOS newsletter, it's going to have, I'm spoiling a little bit, but there's coloring pages in there for kids. We're going to do that 2 a month until we have 12. We'll make a calendar. Jennifer did those. That's her contribution to that. So, anyway, so she made her first trip with us to Pettigene this year. Have you ever been to there at all before? Was this the first time as a child? Okay, long time ago. A few minutes after I took this photo, she said, "Dillon, I'm going to tell you something, and I mean it. If you ever come to this place without me, I will never forgive you for it. I'm serious. This place is amazing." So this is literally sunset at dinner. This is what this is, right? I left my Reuben sandwich to walk outside and take this photo. All right, I hate when these trips make me question my priorities. That's how beautiful that sunset was. This is Zach, who majored in history and tech, and he's now a missionary. And he's taken in the sunset at Red Bluffs in 2014. And we don't have any other clubs to do anything like this. This is it. Falconry. All right. So, if anybody outside my club members, has anybody done this before? Anybody going on a thing? So cool. You got to do this. You haven't done this. So, local falconer, local in Shreveport, Francie Forrester. She is passionate about her Harris's hawks. Francie's a Spitfire who loves to work with young people who show a genuine interest in the birds. She's like this tall. She could beat me up. And since we've been hunting with her most winters since 2009, she's continued to say that going out with a nature club is her favorite hunt of every year. She has so much fun, and we're pretty partial to it too. These are her birds, Tirza and Nova. And from this pic, I think that's Nova on top because she's the big girl. Nova, I think right now is about 24 years old, and Tirza is about 21 or so. It's pretty close. And so now Red River National Wildlife Refuge, Terry Jacobson, that's her right here, the camouflage. She's joined us on a hunt 2017. There's Tirza and Nova getting carried around. And this is Popeye, who's an immature red tail, who was one of her belonged to one of her apprentices. We're hunting through all this stuff this year, and you see the poles up there they're carrying, and you see the birds up there too on that picture. So we hunt separately for the red tail than the Harrises. So we've got Popeye out there, and we get in a particularly tall area. Were you with us when we did this? No. So Popeye takes off this pole, and sometimes these birds they go after something, and we don't know what they're going after. And he sails out and just, if you've ever been out in a field with a red tail, they don't just land. It's like a football, like you spike a football. That's what a red tail does. They just boom, hit the ground. You think they're dead, and so so this red Popeye, he goes off and hits the ground, and he's 100 feet away, and this grass is literally like 5-6 feet tall. Like, no way that bird's got anything from there, from that distance. There's no way. The bird's on a rabbit that has seen a rabbit from 100 feet away in the 6 feet tall grass and flew out and nailed it. Insane. Anyway, so the kids see that too. And if I'm impressed, I know they're impressed because I know birds. So when I know they're impressed. This is Jonna. And these kids get to hold the hawks later, we'll fly the birds to them, and they'll put a little food in the glove. Above is Bryant, who's a military helicopter pilot, married now. So this is Dee. Dee essentially is Joseph's adopted brother, essentially, and so Dee and T is twins. His parents adopted them, and so sometimes they get a little nervous after about a large raptor flying right at their face. And Dee, who's like 6'5" or 6 or something, he's nervous again. So he was 280, got a football scholarship, college and stuff, but a little scared. And so this is another video real quick. Once he got it, he got a little cocky, much to Francie's enjoyment. So if you listen to him, to try to get the bird back up to him. That's Francie laughing. She just has a great time with the kids, as I do too. The annual Southwest Louisiana trip is birders. You know that Southwest Louisiana is a gold mine for outdoor enthusiasts. And it'll be ours, tons of wildlife, the Gulf, and while we're talking priorities, really good food. We give up half our spring break every year to take around a dozen kids there for 3 nights and 4 days. Half our spring break, half our fall break. We do this a lot. This is the first big trip where the club ever started. And we've been doing this since 2008. This is Jana again, working the nets at Rockefeller when we were crabbing. And used to cook those in the dorm. We had that. Now just give them away to people. But anyway, if we get you anything. This is Michaela, another missionary now. She's holding a ribbon snake while we were doing a rail drag in 2020. Is married at the rock wall in a place in Lafayette. And this is last year here at the swamp tour of Lake Martin. Group pick at Lake Martin on this trip. We start at Lafayette one night, and then we go to Cameron for 2 nights. And like I said, used to stay at Rockefeller, and I would stay in Hackberry. I'm hoping Rockefeller's going to be ready for us when we go back in March. It's going to be close, so we'll see. It saves us a ton of money. To Marion up here, who's he's got, I think this his last semester in ag business. Right now, he enjoyed the views of Cameron Parish so much he decided to go to McNeese for college. Literally, why he went to there is because of this trip. Brooke, who's an activities director for a nonprofit in Denver now, making sand people on the beach. So you can tell who's the girl and who's the boy there, I suppose. That. All right. This is Charity. She's rappelling at the Rock Common Gem in 2009, talking with a barred owl, Lake Martin in 2010. We find big lizards, Cameron Prairie and WR. Charity's a full-time RN and married mother of one. Her little sister, one of my honor sophomores. Yeah. Y'all know, gosh, I'm trying to think of her little sister's name. Well, anyway, skip that. Uniqueness now. So did y'all have a club like this in your high school? No, I mean, I didn't either. So the club itself is unique, and that draws the right kinds of students. But we also try to incorporate events that are unique as the club. This is Cassidy, who's holding a baby duck at Paul Dixon's Pinole Preserve in Shreveport on her private tour. She's now a double major in art and business. I don't know, probably make more money than I do. Anyway, so birding, all right. So as you might guess, you can't just expect a group of teenagers to want to go birding. It's, maybe in Baton Rouge you might have enough, but most of Parish, But you can get them to go if it's unique opportunities. So just like the birders do, we take advantage of Louisiana's unique birding opportunities. This is the first rail drag we ever did. This is at Red River National Wildlife Refuge. This is Nick, who has a doctorate of nursing and owns his own nurse anesthetist business in Lafayette now. So he's doing well. And we did 2 of these. This was too wet, at the time. The next year, we did actually get a yellow rail to flush. And this lady there who was watching from the side, she was too old to walk, she cried. And she told the kids, I've been waiting 50 years to see that bird. Right. And one of the kids flushed the thing for her, and she got to see it. So this is Travis, Charlie, Callie, a bunch of other kids here. And several years ago, we did this first time. If you know, oh gosh, I'm blanking out on my name. I'm blanking out on the birder's name. She's a good friend of mine, but I forgot her name right now, just because of all this. Anyway, PJ here's helping her up, and these were 2 girls up here were co-presidents for a while, back when they were my seniors. All right, the Black Rail Project. Okay, so some of you are about to be very jealous. At the annual 2018 LBRC meeting, Eric Johnson mentioned to me they'd be trying to ban for yellow rails and black rails one last time in March. When I realized it was the same time as our Southwest Louisiana trip, I asked if we could help. So we did. This is 16 club members, 3 chaperones, 4 of the volunteers, and Eric and his field tech in the Spartana grass here. So we caught and banded 5 yellow rails, right? And I know I don't have to explain what birders might go through to see a few seconds of a yellow rail flying away from you in a marsh, but consider the uniqueness of holding one and being just 16 years old, because that happened. With Eric's knowledge and expertise, these kids literally learn hands-on about rail ecology and conservation techniques. How many high school kids in this country do you think have ever held a yellow rail? Right? So, again, it's just a special thing to me. This is Tim Arion, Tank, who's at the time a senior football player, an honor student of mine. He was about one of 3 students who got to hold and release a yellow rail. He's very proud. And there he goes. And that's Eric there, if you can't tell. As a long-time birder, that kind of leaves me just amazed, that that happens. Then there's this. Actually, two of them. So we had already made one full pass in and out of the entire group. 12 of the kids found it too difficult. Don't blame them. Two of the chaperones took those kids back to Rockefeller. I stayed with 4 kids who didn't want to stop until they saw me get my life black rail. And we got 2 at the same time in the same spot, literally about 2 feet apart, just sitting on the grass side by side. So unashamedly insert obligatory jealousy invoking video here. So for my kids here who are watching this, wondering like, why is Mr. Dillon being such a big nerd about this? How do I explain this? So these birds, you see how small they are, how dark they are. They live in marshes that are like this tall. The grass is like this tall. And pretty much the only way to do this is walk out there at night with headlamps and a drag line that weighs a lot, and you pull this through the stuff. And I say that the walking on this grass is like walking on basketballs because it's big clump grass and it just falls over with you. And everybody's going to fall at least once. Yes, I fell before you guys. And I told the kids, I said, unless I see these birds out here this night, or unless I come back and see them, I'll never see these birds in my lifetime. That's how rare it is to see. It's literally the most difficult to observe regularly occurring species of bird in North America, period. And so we got 2, right? And so I didn't get to hold the black rail because I'm a good birder, or because I paid money. I got to hold a black rail because 4 high school kids said, Mr. Dillon, we want to help you get the black rails. Sorry. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. That happens sometimes. So 5 hours that took. Waist high, itchy, pokey grass, 20-mile-an-hour winds, which is good because of the mosquitoes. Once you get behind somewhere where there's no wind, oh my God, that's awful. So, and no time for them to check social media on their cell phones. So there you go. The most difficult to observe bird species in North America, and the second most difficult to observe, because that's the yellow rail, with the high school kids. And the photo is blurry, so I hate that. And the happy face is because one of them sprayed mosquito repellent on my shirt, and that's where that came from. That's what that is. So what do you do for an encore? This happened. All right. So this is Dr. C. Bird McKeon. Obvious name jokes aside, C is a research scientist with the Smithsonian Institute. We had only recently become friends on Facebook because we know some of the same people at the LSU Department of Ornithology. So he was working on a new T-shirt for the club because he also happens to be a graphic designer and owns his own nature T-shirt website. And he saw I post about the Nature Club members helping to catch and ban yellow rails and black rails. So he sent me this message. Hi, John, working on your design, but this is a different track. Would you be interested in talking to the naturalistpodcast.com about your natural history club at school? I've never heard of high school students seeing, let alone banding black rails. That would be awesome and should be shared with a broader audience. I agreed. As it turns out, Dr. McKeon had started the Naturalist podcast a few months earlier and wanted to interview me on an episode all about the club. And my first question was, can I bring a kid? So on Thursday, April 4th, 2018, right after school, sophomore member Jana Neal, who was one with the braces and the penguins earlier, who's a senior nursing major now, we logged on to Skype with Dr. McKeon, and he interviewed us about the club, its success, its history, and yes, about the rails for nearly an hour. He published the podcast on April 13th, and it's available for free download online through most podcast apps. That's the Naturalist Podcast, if you want to listen to it later. There you go. So struck with the rails hot. Around the time of the interview, it really hit me how cool this was. So I knew that Eric would be leading the final season of Rail Research, the winter of 2018-19. Now that was, I say final then, that was before they got more money to do it later. So I scheduled a time with him for us to reunite in the field during our Thanksgiving break. So in November, after making it very clear to the 40 or so 2019 club members that conditions in the field are brutal, because if you've never, how many of you have done this? Anybody in here done the rail track? Well, so Jennifer. So, all right, Sherry. All right. So this spartina grass, it'll go through like 2 layers of clothing. I mean, like it's insane, right? And so the mosquitoes you would not believe, right? In a marsh, salt marsh in South Louisiana at night. So I explained to them, this is rough. This is not fun, right? It's like, it's cool, but it's not fun. So my then co-sponsor Kim and I took 5 brave kids to look for rails, this time for 2 nights in a row, because we're stupid. And we ended up on the same property that we dragged in March. The first night, there were 2 or 3 volunteers who were also there, Charlie Lyon being one of them, but we were unable to locate any yellow black rails first night. All right. That's good news, though. The good news, is this still a huge learning experience for the kids. We were able to catch and band a few Sora and some Virginia rails. This is Shelby here and Elena helping out with the measurements with Jonathan, who was great about this. So drama in the marsh. All right. Part of this covered up. See if I can handle this. The second night, we dragged a different site on the same property, and it was almost nothing but spartina grass, right? Spartina spartina, the preferred habitat of black rails on the Gulf Coast. And let me tell you, it's truly awful stuff. You imagine waist-high grass growing out of something the size of a basketball, and the tips are needle sharp. So since our last drag, the eastern subspecies of black rail, the kind we have here, had become a candidate for the endangered species list. So this is all because of current rail research on the East Coast, the Texas coast, and yes, the Louisiana coast. So the stakes were really high, right? So Audubon, Louisiana, had only caught and banded 2 more black rails since March, making 9 total at the time ever caught and banded in Louisiana ever, right? So we went out for the first of 4 transects, and I thought I was going to die, right? No blacks, no yellows, but catching some other rails gave us time to rest while Justin, the field tech, banded them. One of the students had already realized she wouldn't be able to make it past the second transect, and our student realized I couldn't either. So as we were going back toward the starting point, I looked over to check on a student, and there was a black rail sitting on the grass 4 feet away from me. So I yelled, black rail, and I landed on this thing with a net. And I watched, which is what you're supposed to do. So I watched and lying on the ground, right, because I'm on the ground, the bird squirms under the net and flew all the way off the marsh, right? Go get it. So Justin takes off like a cheetah, right? And freezes suddenly halfway there. I'm thinking, why does he freeze? He had flushed the second black rail while he's running to catch the first one. So it heads south. The first one had gone east. So he pursues the original bird. Preston, who's one of my kids and a volunteer from the Texas coast, they chase the second bird. Both birds went into the nets, and both birds went right out of the nets. So it was worthy of a heart attack, but not of an actual black rail hand. So I had an idea. Here we were, over 15 years active now, hundreds of members over time, Smithsonian interview, and almost nobody in Minden had ever heard of us. So the kids, not to mention the adults, work really hard at this club. And I just don't like the idea that we do things, what we do so often goes unknown. It's not football. But anyway, don't get me on that one. So I remembered, I know lots of important people in American ornithology. Let me see what I can do. So in October that year, I emailed Ted Floyd, who's editor of Birding Magazine, the official magazine of the American Birding Association. I've known Ted for a long time, and we went birding for hours years ago in the Rockies. So when I pitched the idea for an article to him, he was very enthusiastic. Young people, rare birds, a Smithsonian researcher, what's not to love? So there you go. I've got copies of this with me. So after this is done, if you want to thumb through it and look at the article and stuff, I got 3 or 4 copies over here. All right. So Ted loved the idea. So after we got back from the November trip, I wrote a feature article for the magazine, 2 sidebar articles, and submitted nearly 15 photos of the kids and the rails. We made the 50th anniversary issue in February 2019. So that's really cool. If you see this picture, all these little sparkly things, those are mosquitoes in the air, just buzzing around with malaria. So there's that. So now, fundraising. The hardest part about fundraising in a high school in a small town is that everyone else is fundraising. So everybody you go to has already been asked 14 times that week, right? No, I don't want another chicken plate. Like, I'm good with that. Even kids in the club have to fundraise for other groups they're in, right? So in 2018, I started the club's Birdathon by training a couple of members in bird ID via texted quiz photos and asking folks around the state to pledge a monetary amount per bird species that we find during a spring big day in Cleveland Parish where I live. A couple of you have done this for me. So my 2 latest bird dogs, pictured here, Tigger and Eeyore, Nicole and Brianna, they helped me in 2022, and we had our best day ever with 110 species that day. I'm taking them on the Claimant CBC next month. They're very excited about that. Thanks to many kind folks around the state and out of state, we raised like $5,200 in one very long day. So had a great turnout on that. And that's where most of our funding comes from, is that it's dues and it's donations, like from groups like y'all. So new approaches. We're definitely continuing the birdathon because of its past success and its educational value. But in order to offer more opportunities to more kids, we've begun to expand our fundraising efforts. So this year, we're partnering with you, the Baton Rouge Audubon Society, along with the New Orleans Audubon Society, Louisiana Wildlife Federation, previous partners like the Shreveport Bird Study Group, LOS, and the Piney Hills Master Gardeners, that's in Minden. I even have a plan that works with the LWF to help sponsor the creation of new high school nature clubs around the state. It's in the works, fingers crossed on that. And yes, there's a new t-shirt in the works. It's not ready yet, but here's the last one. It was designed by Seabird McKeon, as will be the new one, which I love this with the screech owl, the luna moth, chirping, tweeting, hollering, and screeching since 2007. So this always makes me laugh. Lifelong learning, all right? So a couple of years ago, I awoke in the middle of the night to find I had received a video on Facebook Messenger from Mackenzie, who's pictured here upside down at the Rock House. Who was a former member who was studying at McNeese and majoring in radiation therapy. Also a contestant in Miss Louisiana and a stock car racer. That's no joke, right? True. So she had been at a party at a friend's house in Lake Charles when she heard a barred owl in the distance, and she recognized. So when she told her friends she knew how to call it in, they didn't believe her. You know, who would, right? You're drunk. That's like so. Got it. All right. So, screen share. Try this again. All right. All right. Like it never happened. All right. So, So they call me years later asking to go hiking or birding, asking where we went on a trip 7 or 8 years ago because they want to go back. They tell me they miss the club, but I know what the club still offered is still out there for them to see. And that's the difference that comes with this club. That's why they don't call their old football coach or their cheerleading sponsor or their science teacher, and they sure don't call me about English. Those things faded away, but our interactions with nature do not. And this club, for many, has been and will continue to be the catalyst that turns a student in nature into a student of nature. And one of my favorite photos I've ever received is this one and its counterpart in the next one. So it's from Brianna, class of 2017, when she caught a pigeon in Puerto Rico while there for a mission trip with her college friends. But of course, even students of nature still have a lot to learn. So that is pure horror every time I look at that face. That is absolute intense fear. So this is our most recent group pick of the National Bridge at Petit-Jean 2023 and still counting. So thank you for your support with all this, because we really can't do this without that. So there you go. That's all I get. Yes, ma'am. What's we got? Okay, thank you. All right. Any questions at all for me about any of this stuff, or at all? Kind of covered everything there, I think. So. We don't on our fall break in October. Yeah. And we don't quite get to see all the colors. But you know, it's kind of the best time to go for us. So still yeah, so who in here went on that? Let's see. Yeah. So we had 15 and so you had a lot of fun. Yes, sir. And 2 kids got stung by yellow jackets and 1 by a stinging caterpillar, but that was bad. That was it. Yeah. No more. No too bad casualties. Yeah. So.
You say you're gonna launch this and other
So I'm hoping, yeah. So I met with Rebecca Trish with LWF, sorry, a couple months ago, and a couple other people from it, and so they were looking. It was really I'm on their education committee now, and so they start telling me that like somebody left us like $4 million and we got to figure out what to do with it, long-term plan. And I said, well, that's going to make what I have to ask y'all later a hell of a lot easier. And so anyway, so they're going to help us fundraise, which is great, sponsor us that way. But I told her, I said, well, what I want to do, I said, when I leave, when I retire, you know, seems like only 12, 13 years from now, I guess, when I retire, I'll, you know, this club is probably going to die when I'm gone. I mean, it's just because it's hard. You got to find the right person to do that, right? And so, so I said, I want the legacy of the club to be that it made other clubs. That's what I want, you know. And I said, you got to be, you know, Baton Rouge, Lafayette. We got places around the state where you got to have somebody in the school somewhere who watched enough, like me, watched enough National Geographic specials growing up to be, you know, to have gotten into it a little too much as an adult and as a teacher, you know. And so, so I said, if y'all can just sponsor the thing over the summer, like up here at the Red River Refuge, you've been there, you know, we do the Sparrow Workshop and stuff. Come in there, let me do a training for like a week. Get these just 3 or 4 teachers from around the state from some places. I can train them on everything to do and everything not to do. All of the trips, fundraising, contacts, all that kind of stuff. Y'all show up, you know, give them a stipend, do that sort of thing. Make sure all is good. It makes me happy. Let's work it out. So we're working on it. So fingers crossed. So we'll see. Very crossed. So any other questions or anything? That's a good one. All right. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. Oh, there's one question on here. Oh yeah, on the chat. Okay, let me pull it up here. I'll put my readers back on. Let's see. Hope it's not like that was terrible. Let's see. There we go. Great work. Is the high school nature club being spread to other schools? That's what I was just talking about there. So thanks, Catherine, for asking that. So yeah, I'm really hoping that works out. You know, doing these things, it's slow going until you get it going, you know. So I'm patient. I don't know if it'll happen. If it does happen, I don't know if it'll be the next summer where we can train them, but it's teachers have the time off the summer to do that. And it's getting trained on that is a lot more enjoyable than, Google Classroom or some other, or mandatory reporter training or something like that. Um, so I'm hoping that works out really, because that'll be really cool to know that, and then maybe meeting up with another club one day. Yeah, Christine. Well, so all right. Well, fun. True. Um, sure. So we have I mean, like we get everything approved from the school board, and so nobody said like you can't do that. This is crazy. Nothing. So we have a lot of attaboys, a lot of pats on the back, but it's typically a school board is not going to fund a group like this. They're just not. We're around 2 million in a hole right now for the school system, and then with recent political changes in Baton Rouge, that's not going to get any better. so I don't really look for help from them. I have asked some local I started asking local businesses this year, and about the highest dollar amount I heard offered was like $200. And I started off with two of the wealthiest business, like I know wealthiest, like no question here, multi-million dollars every single year. And I start with that. I'm offering $200 because we got to give to everybody, Dillon. We got to do that. Okay. And I think, the Minden Master Gardeners gave us $500 a couple of years ago. The Shreveport Bird Study Group has given us $250 every year for probably the last 8 or 9 years. They're nonprofits. The average age of the bird study group is probably 75. And so if they're going to help out that kind of percentage out of their budget, their little budget, and help us out, why am I bothering with these local businesses who don't get it? And so that's why I said, okay, let me call Baton Rouge, let me call New Orleans, let me call, and so that's where that came from. So it was being rejected by them. It kind of pissed me off enough to where let's do the different route here. So there you go. Yeah. And I remember getting a check. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, I've had several people down here support the birdathon every year. Oh, we got another one here. So impressive. Thank you very much for the time you have, Katie. Yeah. Thank you, Katie. I don't think I've ever met Katie in person. Can't remember if I have or not. So thank you. Yeah, I've had a lot of people down here to help out and really all over the state with the birdathon. And so and it's really fun. There's 2 girls. It's like that afternoon. I mean, we start before sunrise. They got to drive over from Minden to my house in the middle of nowhere in Athens, and so we go head out and stuff, and trying to get owls and stuff early morning, and so it gets a long day. We go till dark, and so we're driving out that afternoon, and one of them says, "No, thank you so much for doing this." I was like, "Are you thanking me?" And others like, "Listen, this is so much fun. Like I had no idea it would be this fun. So what's wrong with y'all?" I was like, "Thank you." Like I couldn't believe that they had fun doing it, honestly. And every time I've taken kids doing that, they have fun. But those 2, they really, really got into it. And every now and then, that happens. And so when I asked him a week or so ago, one of them calls me girl. Hey girl, every time. And so Trevor's laughing because he knows which one. So I was like, do y'all want to do this Christmas bird count with me next month? And they're like, girl, what do you even have to ask? Like, why do like, all right, thanks, girl. So they're coming with me. So so they're cute, they're all adorable, and it's really fun. So it makes it, I don't know, it makes it's a different kind of birding, when you're doing that with the kids. And so it's not as, I don't know, it's just more entertaining. Yeah.
So, I've actually been working with a teacher who has an environmental club school in Ascension Parish. They've done
Sorry.
Sanctuary in Ascension Parish. I think they'll be there on Saturday.
Oh, cool.
So, I don't know how big their club is. I don't know all activities they do. But what advice would you give to teachers who want to start something like this?
Great question. You need a male and a female co-sponsor for sure. Because if you're doing anything overnight, you need one each there, right? In case a girl gets sick, a guy gets sick, a girl gets upset, guy gets upset, whatever you need that cover. You don't need to take it all on yourself. You need connections. Well, I'm sorry. I don't think I just finished it all off. But I appreciate it. So yeah. Luke, would you help me? So you got to get your boss, principal, and stuff. They need to understand what you're actually doing. If you get some of them to come see it, or like a night hike is really easy to do, but that helps a lot. So they can encourage. At the beginning of the year this year, when my boss was doing orientation for the kids, and I had the freshman class in there, she told her, Wyatt heard her say this. She said, "We've got all these clubs in Minden High School. I encourage you, don't let 4 years go by and just sit around, asking to go to the bathroom in class. Do something." And she said, "Thank you so much." Mm-hmm. She said, if I was a kid in high school, I would join the nature club because Mr. Dillon does all this awesome stuff with these kids. He's been in the magazines and all kind of crap. So I would join that. And so when you get the boss on your side, that helps a lot too. So local PR in the school and stuff helps. Make the connections around the state. Keep it diverse, not just because I don't just do birds. We do all sorts of things. The hiking. We've done fishing. Falconry is kind of like birding, but it's hunting essentially. And so it appeals. You have to appeal to different. You can't just see, I want kids like me. You can't do that. You have to appeal to the diversity of the school that you're in. And a lot of these kids, they don't know that they're going to like it until they go. And so you also have to encourage them to go with friends when you make it available for. Instead of just taking 2 or 3 kids, take 8 or 10 or 12 or 15, because if they go with friends, they have a better time, they feel more comfortable, because they don't want to feel left out. And they're kids. And y'all can answer this question too. For anything that's like some of my members, if like there's stuff that says, why did some of y'all join the club? Can I ask y'all that? Some of y'all,
That was gonna be my next question.
Yeah.
What is your favorite part?
Haley?
Well, because honestly, I'm really busy with my life, so I really do enjoy going out in nature and seeing like just sitting out there and just looking, because that's really like when I noticed the minute I had that, I was like, oh my god, I need to join that now.
Ava? Yeah. And Ava was really excited last weekend because we went to the observatory in Shreveport, and she loves the stars and everything. So we had a great time doing that. We saw Jupiter and Saturn, some good looks at some stuff. It's really cool. Luke or anybody, your wife or
I mostly just joined the nature club because nature's interesting and I'm more and more about it. And I was thinking, well, better opportunity.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing, because this is something else that kids realize they learn. Minden's a small town. There's not a lot. It's like Baton Rouge, right? Where you have all these things they can do. They're not exposed to very much. Nature in a place like that is usually just sitting in a deer stand, or maybe fishing. Yeah. Or maybe fishing if you're lucky. But that's about it. So this broadens that, We brought Francie to the school because I didn't know we could go out hunting with her. And so I brought her to school. I had Becky's, so this is a severe profound kids with like severe autism and limited like physical mobility, and brought all them in the gym, and the nature club members there too. And had the birds fly around demonstration and stuff. And we're putting the birds up in Francie's car. And she said, "You should bring the kids hunting one time." I'm like, "What?" She said, "You should bring them hunting." I said, "I can do that." She said, "Yeah, you can do it. It'd be love to have me." Like, okay. So we did. And we've been doing it every year.
Right, some interest through some other students in the school that didn't necessarily get to come because they weren't members of the club at the time.
Yeah.
But the fact that
Yeah.
So it was, that's something that people are trying to start these, I mean, I guess, when you bring things like the snakes, when you bring the birds.
Yeah.
when bring
You gotta
the
show it
birds,
off.
And it piques their interest. So,
Yeah. And don't overplan. If I could, I would do something with these kids every 3 or 4 weeks. There is no way that I can. I've got,
I'd be fine with it.
I know, I would love to, but with everything else I do, there's no way. There's just no, you know how busy I am. And I would love to, but if I overplan, then I have to cancel this and I have to cancel that, and I look like an idiot. And so, more so than usual. So, so yeah, you keep it. We do about 3 to 4 events a semester. This trip is a extra trip this year, or so we typically do the 2 long trips a year during the breaks. And I like going during the break only because I like sending the message to the kids, I want you in class. They were very upset that they had to miss 2 days of school this week to come here. They were very so I blamed it on BRAS. It's a Thursday night meeting. It was nothing, Lawrence, yeah.
Back like fundraising, I think that article that
Yeah.
you wrote in that magazine, I was wondering, like, I mean, the leadership must be fairly broad, and less than some people to get contact information. I'm wondering about, like,
I was hoping Elon Musk is a subscriber, like a member, but I'm waiting on my check still from him.
the other thing is like, about what's the foundations out there that would support something like this, and you have all this information, the success, the showcases, and they were like,
When I've tried, it's hard to find the right listener, right? When you get the right person, and I'm better face to face doing that. So that's why I wanted to meet when LWF called me. I said, we want to meet with you. It's like, well, I want to meet with you. I was going to call you next week. It literally happened like that. It's so much better face to face. Over an email or a phone call, who's this Yetz, And so, and in North Louisiana, it's hard to find those organizations, which is another reason we're down here. So I know, yeah, I would love to. And I'm wondering that if we kind of start partnering with LWF, we can spread it around the state some. I want to do that. I've got it on my to-do list to contact NPR, because I'm an NPR member of 2 stations. And so I think I just see them wanting to, go out like on a CBC with me and the couple of girls, or doing a trip like this, or meeting us somewhere and going off with. I could see that being really cool. And so I would like national exposure. That's on the long-term list for the next 2, 3, 4 years. Not necessarily to get the funding, but to get these kids some recognition for what they do, excuse me. So maybe somebody else hears that story in, Alabama or North Dakota or somewhere, and says, we can do that here, why not do that here? And because there are a few clubs like this around the country, but they're limited. And if you look up stuff on, it's like the National History Club. It's like our Natural History Club, which is a national organization. Pretty much all they do is go to museums, and that's about it. Which, I mean, we went today and the kids had a great time with but it's a behind the scenes tour. Y'all got a tour that most people don't get for a couple hours. I mean, they did really well today. But that's, they go along and they look at some dinosaur fossils and they look at some stuff, and that's about it. And most of those clubs, that's all they do. Because I've looked online at them to see what they do. And so, but I think if they find out, falconry and bird banding and herpetology stuff and canoeing and hiking and all these things, it's got to be more appeal out there. So funding or not, either way. But all right. Well, I'm not gonna. What you got, man? No, that's all right. Right there with you. My biggest birding achievement? I don't know. I'm gonna have to think a minute. It's been a long time.
So,
I mean, being on the Birds Records Committee is kind of a big deal to me, because it's so Steve, who gave the tour today, and Donna, who was good, so they're husband and wife. So Steve asked me to be on the Louisiana Bird Records Committee a few years ago, and that's 9 bird experts in the state who review rare bird records that are submitted. And either accept or don't accept based on evidence and stuff every year. And so that's where we have our meetings, is at the museum, and we get to study the skins to, based on our records like that. And that's a real, because I've learned so much doing that. And so it's nothing, it's not glamorous or anything like that. When people are like, oh, LBRC. But it's to me, that makes me really happy to do that. It's a lot of work sometimes, because Donna will send us like 85 records to review, and like, all right, just do by the end of the month. Oh my God. But I don't know about that one. And I'm probably thinking others. I'll tell you more on the trip, maybe. I'll bore you.
Those stories you tell are boring.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a big can of worms.
Any other questions?
Well, thank you all for the questions.
Sponsor your group, so we are now an official sponsor of the Minden High School.
That's very cool.
And we thank you very much for making the trip. I know that you included other things when you came down here. You made good use of your time, and I hope for good weather tomorrow so that you can continue that before you head back to North Louisiana. So fingers crossed.
The new T-shirts open is January, and we send me y'all's logo, and we'll have it on the back of the shirts with the other logos. And so you remember the Partridge Family? Like people of a certain age in here, yeah. So you remember the logo with the partridge walking around, like in the 70s colors and all that stuff, right? They're little cute partridges. Same thing, but with woodcocks. Right? And you get the big fat woodcock, that's me. And then and then 4 or 5 other little chubby woodcocks, that's them. Behind, yeah. And on the back, in that 70s kind of script, Minden High Nature Club, and I come on, get happy. Or getting happy since 2007, something like that. And then the logos on it and a little patch thing on the front. So that's what it's going to be. So they'll be pretty adorable. And if y'all want shirts, you should be able to order from his website, because he'll have them up there, and you can just go pick your size or sweatshirt or t-shirt or whatever you want, and there you go. So pick your color and stuff. So very cool. Yeah. So I'll send them out.
All right.
And if you want to look at the magazine,
yes,
I got the magazine. Sure.
I do have to say one thing before we log
Sure,
off.
okay.
I had the date wrong for the Baton Rouge
Sure.
Christmas bird count. It's December 30th, not January 6th, because the season ends on January 5th. So it's December 30th. So if you put it on your calendar, update your calendar. So, and I don't know when the one in Shreveport is.
It's in the newsletter. Okay, I just, yeah.
All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you.